Welcome, everyone. Nice to be back here with you. Yes, so we are right in the middle of the chakra series. And so this week, we're going to do the throat chakra again. And this is going to be part 2. So last week, when I spoke about the throat chakra, I spoke about it being this great doorway, this gate, between the head and the heart. And the intermediary, the one who is the gatekeeper, was our superego, our critic. And the critic is the one that causes us, so much problem with the throat. That's the main difficulty. The second one who creates great trouble is our unconscious mind in our first 3 chakra centers. So the throat chakra is, basically controlled by a feeling of safety. And so deep in our belly, deep in the pelvis, deep in the solar plexus, it's one of the great places we store trauma, we store pain. And, oftentimes it's shut there. The belly's tight, it's tense, it's fearing. Many of us have been traumatized and had, sexual trauma, or someone abused us, or our home life did not feel safe. And when you don't feel safe, the throat chakra is going to be unconsciously closed. Now, more in the conscious realm is the superego, telling you to shut up, or telling you you're not allowed to speak, or you're too ugly, or too old, or too young, or too little, too big. And so last week we focused more on the, kind of the shadow of the superego, just housed in the throat chakra area. But this week we're going to speak about the interplay between the feeling of fear and safety in the world and the openness of the throat. And so the first principle on the spiritual path is to relax, to help the body relax. Anytime people come to me, they send me an email and they tell me they're in great crisis. And if I can't get to them right away, I send them a short email if I can, which is basically telling them, do whatever you can to relax your body. And right away, they're going to fire back with, I can't, I don't know how, it's impossible, the energy is too much. The energy is too much. And so a very healthy throat chakra, will do what Richard Branson did this week, where, he said he was a little child and he looked up at the stars and he had this dream of going to space. And here, however old he is in 2021, he went to space. He went to space and he gave this little speech, like right as he was, getting out of the gravitational pull of Earth, talking about being a child and dreaming of going to space. Of going to space. And then he took off his seatbelt and then he started to float around, the cabin, like a little kid. And so all of us are children of God. All of us are given these big hearts and these incredible dreams. But when we come into this world, often we're beat up or we're shut down. We're told to be quiet. We're told to, sit there and don't speak, don't say anything. Or we grow up in an environment that's not safe with, an alcoholic or an abusive person, maybe a whole family of alcoholics and addicts. And so we clench deep in our belly. And when we clench deep in our belly, it basically creates this great contraction. And then somewhere along the way, if Kundalini wakes up in you and is trying to flow through the central channel, and there's a clinch there, there's going to be this inner war and this inner fight. And so before you were fighting with life, and now you're fighting with Kundalini. Maybe you're fighting with both. And it makes the whole spiritual path a great mess. And so the number one rule when you first step on the path It's like when you go into any yoga class, just like sit on your mat and breathe. Sit on the floor and breathe. I'll tell people even differently. Lay down flat. When you allow the body to lay down flat, especially outside, connected to the earth, inside, connected to your bed or your couch or your floor, the message you send to the body is, I am safe. For the throat chakra to be open, it needs to get this one message. For healing to happen, we need to get this one message first and foremost. I am safe in this moment. And for many of you, if you just feel into this mantra right now, so you take a deep breath and you say, I am safe. And you breathe it in. You're connecting with the peace that's here, the silence that's here, the stillness that's here. I am safe. And those of you who truly believe this and know this, your body smiles, it lights up, and it begins to let go. It let goes in the belly, in the pelvis, in the solar plexus. The throat begins to open. We're like, oh yeah, I'm safe. I can trust. I can be open. But those of you who don't believe it, like right away, you're going to have some superego thoughts up in the throat chakra that's saying, no, we're not. We're not safe. Here's why. We're not safe because Donald Trump is president. We're not safe because Joe Biden is president. I'm not safe because in 1982, someone hurt me. I'm not safe because yesterday someone hurt me. I'm not safe because my boss is a jerk. And again, like the superego will step into an argument of why you're not safe. And the key there is it's an egoic argument. But when you relax your body, you come into reality. The Zen-like reality, the basic truth is 99.9% of the time, all of us are safe. Are safe. We're physically safe. Now, if you're not physically safe, then you clench in your belly, and you get up and you run away, or you fight back, you stand your ground, you create safety, you create boundary. Well, let's just assume like none of us are being punched in the face right now. None of us are being bombed on right now. We are fundamentally safe. And so can you connect into this safety? If you don't connect into this safety, you will never heal. Your trauma will never fully release. The Kundalini will never, fully awaken and stabilize within you. That'll be this constant battle. And so when you help the body to feel safe, and you begin to trust in the Kundalini and simply let it flow, see, it's just a lot of energy. It's not here to harm me. It's here to awaken me, to enlighten me, to take me to a greater realm of divinity, to show me different aspects of myself. And so this great question of safety is at the heart of the throat chakra being open or closed. In fact, this is true probably for all the chakras, but I wanted to really highlight it with the throat, because the throat is a place of bottleneck. It's a place where most people experience their kriyas. The energy starts to flow up through the nervous system, and when it gets to the throat chakra, most people say, I don't know. I don't know if I can experience all this energy coming up and flowing through me. It might overwhelm me. It might be too much. And again, that's the voice of the superego. But if we take a deep breath and trust that it's okay to feel, it's okay to experience, trust the fact that I am safe. I'm safe enough to feel. I can feel the earth. I can feel the peace. I can even feel things that are uncomfortable flowing through me. And see, this is very important because the superego doesn't like this thought. It says, no, if it feels bad, I will not feel it. I will resist it. I'll fight with it. I'll struggle against it. And that's not going to work. That's not going to work on the spiritual path. It's not going to work if you're pregnant. You can't say no. You're 9 months into it. The day before you can say, no, I don't want to have this. That baby's coming. And so can we trust and can we open? Just like birth, it'll be uncomfortable. It can be uncomfortable. It's going to bring you new things. Some things will be quite euphoric and blissful. Some things will be evolutionary in nature. And by that I mean there'll be some growing pains associated with it. And so this great question for all of us in this moment is do I feel safe? Am I connected with a sense of safety and a sense of power? Sense of safety and a sense of power. I'm going to tell a silly story right now that some of you have heard this before, but once upon a time, I was young. I was probably 16 or 17 years old. And, in a funny way, I was a hippie in the woods camping. And I was camping at this park. And at this park had this gigantic arches. It's called Red River Gorge in Kentucky in the United States here. They had these giant arches, maybe 200 feet high, tall arches, like a big rock dome amphitheater. And I was camping in my tent in the middle of the day, just taking a nap, doing what hippies do, hang out doing nothing. And I heard some people walking around in my campsite. And I walked outside, and there was a fella, and he had a gun strapped to his hip, and he also had a big climbing rope on around his neck and a big backpack. And I looked at him and I said, hey, what's up? And he said, hey, we're going to rappel off this cliff here. Would you like to come? And I was dazed and confused and sleepy and I said, yeah, sure. I'll walk up the side of this little mountain with you and I'll hop off. And by the way, pleased to meet you. And hey, what's going on with that gun? But he smiled and he assured me, and so he put me in a harness and I jumped off a cliff and I rappelled down, and it was just this wild ride. And see, in this moment, I was deeply relaxed. I was connected to my power, my strength. There was a sense of trust there. I intuitively felt that I could trust this fella, and we had a great day, like a wonderful day. A wonderful day. Now, many of you might look at that story and say, oh, that's absolutely crazy. But when you're rooted in some level of true nature, when you're connected to your strength and your power, like I woke up, and so I was really relaxed, and also, but I was connected to my power. And so you'll see soldiers like this in war zones where they walk around incredibly relaxed. There's people with guns and people shooting, but they're deeply relaxed because they're connected to the power in their hara. They're being wise, like I was wise. I was like, check the knot, and check the harness, made sure I had it on, right? We did the safety check. And away I went. And away I went. And so when you're connected to your inherent strength, you feel safe and you're willing to take some risks. I'm going to call this a healthy risk, even though maybe some of you may say, Craig, that's crazy. But for me, it was healthy. Like intuitively, I knew that these boys were A-okay. I knew they were A-okay. My throat was open. My body was relaxed. I felt into my divine nature. And there was no sense of fear here. No sense of fear. Now, many of us who've been traumatized, and keep in mind, I have had lots of trauma in my life. When we have trauma in our life, we tend to grip on our belly and just think in our head about the trauma. Consciously or unconsciously, we replay the story that I am not safe. And so the most healing thing for you to do, if that's you, is to not believe your thoughts and to give yourself permission to feel what's in your body. And this requires trust in the throat chakra, requires a gentle discipline. If you have trauma, stay out of the story of the trauma, the incident, the details. The details will simply distract you. It's the superego's way of protecting you from feeling the pain. So it just thinks about it and creates a whole hell world of thinking about pain while we're not really feeling it. And the way mammals are wired is mammals are wired to feel pain fully. And as they do, their body shakes or it cries, it trembles, mucus pours out, tears pour out. We may heave and, make all these moans and screams and kicks, but then the trauma releases. But in order to do this, we have to first acknowledge, I'm safe. We have to connect with the feeling of safety. And so the throat chakra is this great gatekeeper. And the gate is the gatekeeper of the superego saying, I'm not going to feel anything. I'm going to think about it the rest of my life, because thoughts are safer than feeling, according to the throat chakra, according to the superego. But according to our nervous system, our nervous system says, hey, I'm full of feeling. I need to empty some of this out. I need the throat chakra to be open. I literally need to vomit out this emotion so I can empty out all the chakras, so I can feel sane. And so this is where I'm going to encourage you to trust your body, that it's okay to feel. It's okay to feel. It's safe to feel. And the most helpful thing for many of us, if we have issues with trauma, with pain, with feeling of overwhelm, we get caught in that trauma loop of, it's not safe, I'm not safe, I can't do anything, I have to stay inside forever the rest of my life. Me and Dr. Fauci, we're going to stay indoors the rest of our lives and never leave the home, And we just have to keep getting more and more of our vaccines and stay safe and wear rubber gloves and more masks. And it's like, hey, it's safe. Safe. It's safe to breathe the air. It's safe to go outside. It's safe to feel the sun on your face. It's safe to smile at a neighbor. It's safe to live in community again. You don't need to be breathing on everyone, but it's safe to live in community. It's safe to be out. It's safe. It's safe. It's safe. And this is what our body needs to hear. This is what the throat needs to know. And the most helpful way is to connect with the earth, to lay down, and to breathe in. This basic sense of, I'm safe. It's okay. I'm safe. It's okay. I'm safe. It's okay. And as you do this, you might find your body vomiting emotion, in the sense that a little trembling happens and some tears begin to flow. And as you make it through these loops of letting go, you start to feel a sense of power within the body, a sense of power. And from a sense of power, there's something that wakes up in the throat chakra, is the superego relaxes, the critic relaxes. And this sense of power and Buddha nature, it's a different type of intelligence, comes forward that says it's okay, it's safe, it's safe. And then you stand in line, you get your shot, then you go outside and you smile and you kick the ball and you play with friends and you breathe the air and you move into this greater sense of acceptance. That yes, sometimes life hurts. Yes, sometimes there is danger. Yes, sometimes there are pandemics. Yes, sometimes people die and it hurts. But we have faith because we know I can grieve and I can let go and I can move on. I can move on. I can move on. I can live my life. I'm empowered. I can make healthy, wise decisions. And so again, we move from criticism, so at the heart of the ego and the throat chakra, to wisdom, discernment. Discernment. Discernment may say, I don't want to get the shot, but I'm going to choose to be healthy. I'm going to choose to exercise. I'm going to choose to do this. I'm going to choose to do that. I'm going to choose not to be afraid of Kundalini. I'm going to choose not to be afraid of life. Because when I feel into life in this moment, I feel the inherent safety, the peace, the stillness. And yes, there are bad people. And yes, there are dangerous things. And yes, there are viruses that can kill you. But you're connected to the ground of being. And in the ground of being, you feel safe and you feel open. When you create this internal connection with the ground of being and openness, the Kundalini can flow fluidly through your consciousness and begin to do its healing work, its healing magic. It can bring things into the light to be healed, to be released. It can show you new realms of divinity that you don't have to fear. It can make your body dance and move with kriyas, and you're not frightened about it. You just kind of go with the flow. You go with the flow. And so anyways, this was part 2 of the throat chakra series. And I thought I'd just spend a little bit more time on the throat chakra. This is the point that most people get the hiccup with. Most people think if the throat chakra is open, they're just going to, express to the world how traumatized they are, or tell everyone in the world to shut up, or tell everyone their political opinions. And that's the ego, the egoic throat chakra being open. We want the truth of the throat chakra to be open, which is it's connected to wisdom. It's much more quiet. It's not pounding in the streets that you're wrong if you voted for someone that I don't like. When the throat chakra is open, there's a sense of peace, a sense of power, a sense of knowing that all is well, even when it's not. All is well, even when it's not.